From Wig Hall and Five Arcs, we move on to the Menil Residence, which was done in the residence for Rosalie Gwathmey was done in 1965. The studio for Robert Gwathmey was done in 1967, both on the same lot in Amagansett. Wig Hall was 1975. In 1983, the Demonia Residence is completed, but this is completed after a long relationship between Charles Gwathmey and Francois Demenil, beginning with the FDM offices in Manhattan for Francois Demenil's film production company. The Demonia Residence, which is in East Hampton, just south of Amagansett, again on Long Island, is a very complex and very involved beach house. It's really more of a villa, and I think that it was described as a villa by the IAUS in their attention and analysis of it. But nonetheless, it's a fascinating building. One of the things that this show incorporates is the influence of art. Obviously the influence that Robert and Rosalie Gwathmey had on Charles was remarkable. But when Deborah and I were looking at the 5 projects that we had selected, what Deborah pointed out was that every one of them had to do, on an intimate level, with art. Obviously, the residence and studio for his parents, who were artists, the Demonia Residence for a young collector, Francois Demenil, who is, as Francois has told me, was really kind of following in the footsteps of his parents with regards to his collecting at the time. And he has an extraordinary collection of art. One piece in that collection, which he graciously loaned the exhibition, is Joseph Cornell's Medici slot machine, which, again, looking at the art in the context of how it might have inspired or influenced or just been of resonance with these architectural projects, to me, is fascinating. So we have the Cornell box here in the section where the Demonia Residence is being displayed, and I think that the resonance between what Francois was doing at the time and the residence actually itself, and Cornell's Medici slot machine, to me, is uncanny. Francois also insisted that we include a piece by Ken Price, which is called Inca Self-Portrait. And it's a little bit irreverent, but I think, again, it's very much in keeping with the spirit of the Demonia Residence. It's very masculine. It's maybe a little bit, irreverent. And it adds a kind of amusing sense of humor to maybe what could be taken as a little bit too serious in looking at the Cornell piece and trying to match it with this residence. Nonetheless, the Demonia Residence was an extraordinary project. We've also included architectural drawings in the show, and we've done so in a way to try and show the progression of these projects, how they began with a design sketch and then progressed into more measured and hard-lined architectural drawings, and how those drawings then become translated into construction drawings. And the difference between all those types of drawings in the way that the initial idea or partie of the design is kind of resolved and then translated throughout those drawings. One of the things that Charles has told me about Bob Siegel is that the relationship that the two of them have with regards to working out the partie and the program program de partie and the design of these of their work is just amazing with regards to how well they work together and how well they complement each other. So both Charles and Bob are very much collaborating on all of these projects, beginning with Wig Hall in this exhibition, and then through the rest as we'll talk about. From the Menil Residence, which is 1983, the next project that we selected for the exhibition was the Bachelor Residence, which is in Zumikon, also referred to as the Zumikon Residence. It was completed in 1993. Now, Charles and Bob's career at this time is still doing very well, but the interesting thing about what was going on in Charles's life at the time is that, he's suffered a great deal of, personal and family loss. And the Zumikon Residence really has a very different spirit, I would say, but nonetheless is still clearly a Gwathmey Siegel project. It seems to be influenced less by Corbusier and maybe more by Louis Kahn, another mentor of both Charles's and Bob's. The house has a great sense of solidity, of composure. It has a kind of graceful way of situating itself on and actually into the site just outside of Zurich, overlooking Lake Zurich or the Zurich Sea and the Swiss Alps beyond. And Charles writes about in a monograph for this house his relationship with Thomas Bachelor and Thomas's wife Christina, and how they kind of instantly hit it off. In a telephone conversation, Thomas calls Charles out of the blue. He's looking at Tadao Ando and Richard Meyer and Gwathmey Siegel as potential architects of his residence. And they begin talking about minimal art. And instantly, Thomas tells me that he knew that Charles was the man for, I think in his words, the man for this, for the house. And it's interesting to see that, and then at the same time understand how the Bachelors are, not only patrons of the arts, but collectors as well, and what they collect. They collect minimal art, of course, and land art. And one of the artists in particular who seems to, particularly resonate with this house is Richard Long. They've got a number of Richard Long's floor pieces, and they commissioned Richard Long for the residence to do one of his wall paintings or mud circles in the living room space. We were fortunate to get a loan from Sprunt Westwater, one of Richard Long's pieces, which is in the show. And I think that the elemental nature of Richard Long's work, the very meditative and contemplative spirit of it, and how reduced and powerful it is in its kind of essential spirit and nature is really very resonant, not only with this residence, but with, I think, the place that maybe Charles and Bob were at the time that this house was designed. Again, we've included architectural drawings in this gallery, and they show the progression, the way that the house interfaces with the topography of the site, the great limitation of the Swiss zoning, and then the exquisite building technique and and methods that are used in this house.
Gwathmey Siegel, Inspiration and Transformation is on view until January 10th, 2010.